Testing, testing. Testing. Let's see, where's my music gone? I turned my music off when I was doing some testing. There it is. Hopefully you can hear it just enough that it's not awkward silences. But not enough that it drowns me out. Anyway, hello everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is in your part of the world. And welcome to another Zero Stream. Oh, I'm putting on my tablet glove when I'm not even drawing on my tablet. All right. Yes, we're doing some Inktober finally. Hopefully the camera setup works better today than 2 weeks ago during our test run. But yeah, I have been getting through these daily, which is pretty nice. I think in the past I usually fall behind after a little while, but so far still on top of it. And I just wanted to go through real quickly what I have before we start on today's. Hello, Bronzeleaf in the chat already. Good to see ya. But yeah, day one, ring. A little ringmaster. Bron says it's good. Hopefully you can keep up. I hope so too, yes. Day two was mindless. Did some zombie rats. My friends were like, wow, pulling out the gore early this year. What was this day? The prompt was bait, I think. Not so happy with how this one came out. I think the rats look a little strange. I got the proportions a little off. This one looks like he's kind of leaning, but I like this one though. Freeze! Freeze! Hands up! Makes me think of the Hamburglar. And that's all that I did during the warm-up stream, I think. All of the rest of them I had to come up. This day was build. A little odd, but I messed up on the deck of cards. There's actually supposed to be one more card in the middle there going across the top of those two. I forgot to draw that one in because if you've ever tried to build a tower of cards, it's really difficult to balance these two on top of the tippy tops of the base too. You usually want to put a flat one on top of the base for stability. Oops, let's turn that back on. So my the camera shouldn't be running out of battery this time, but it will occasionally turn itself off like that. I don't know why. I have no clue why it does that. But it shouldn't be an issue. I can just turn it right back on. I bought myself a cord that plugs directly into an AC adapter. Into a power supply, so no running out of power today. But yeah, I don't know. What was he stealing? He's got a little sack of something. Possibly some seeds, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's the bird police has got him stealing from their supply. Husky. I'm sure the size is all off with this one. Those are either really, really young huskies or that's a really big rat. But yeah, I kind of was thinking of that Snoopy cartoon where Snoopy gets stuck dreaming, having a nightmare about being on a husky team. Enchanted. I was going to go with Oh no, I think this is where we left off. I think we got to this part in that warm-up thing where I was doing the sketches. I was going to do a witch, but I didn't want to just draw a witch hat, so I tried to turn the witch hat into some kind of natural thing, like a leaf. And I was like, hey, looks kind of cute as maybe a druid of some sort, some kind of nature wizard. Bronzeleaf says, "Oh, huskies they're so cute. Yee, thank you." Yeah, I liked getting to draw another animal. And I decided to water down and do a little ink wash. This is the first ink wash I did in this book, and it kind of rubbed the paper a little too hard. This notebook is supposed, or the sketchbook is supposed to be multimedia, but I've never used it with wet media like watercolors, and so I must have scrubbed it a little too hard. Frail. Okay, so I guess this would probably be my least favorite of the bunch. I think the rats in this one look a little off, but they're still relatively cute, or like, you know, where I'm going. This is maybe my second least favorite. This is my least favorite because I kind of made him a little too skinny, and his hand kind of looks too human there. I lost track of the rat proportions. Sometimes I focus too much on like the effect, and yeah, not so happy with that. Also, this hand I don't really like either. It's supposed to be grasping the pole, but I think I drew the fingers too close to it and tried to overcorrect. But I love the little tick. So, like, I don't know what the deal in this world is, but early on I drew some bees, I think it was. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I drew a rat dancing with some bees, and the bees I accidentally drew too big, so I was like, maybe in this world the bugs can like grow extremely large. And so I kind of ran with it. Later on, there's a ladybug. And like, rats are really big animals, so the ladybug would not be that big. So I'm thinking, what if like we took a tick? Maybe the rats treat these like big bugs as kind of pets. You know, like in Neopets, how the Neopets have pets. I'm saying pets so many times, it's like not even a word anymore. But yeah, and he's all like wrinkled because when ticks don't eat enough, they like when they're full of blood, they're like all nice and plump and smooth. But when they get hungry, they like shrivel up, sort of like you've squeezed them too hard. Pet bugs is the best idea. Thank you, Bronze. Swing! Bada 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 swing! Alright, well, for this one, I originally wanted to do, like a rat swinging the bat and have a lot of motion to it, but like missing the ball, so like the ball would have like gone past him and he would be swinging one way, but the pose was so hard to get, so I just ended up copping out, and instead of actually drawing the swing, I just drew a rat with a bat, with a baseball bat, and gave him a little cap, and he's fighting some ghosts. This is definitely a paranatural reference, so if anyone hasn't seen Paranatural, get on that. It's a webcomic that you can read online. Got Pattern. A friend of mine's suggested clowns were all about the patterns, and so I'm like, you're right. And I really like drawing tails in this kind of spring formation, so that was a good excuse for me to get to do that. We haven't had any snow yet, but this day's prompt was snow, and you know, just go with the easiest ideas sometimes. You got two prompt words: rats, snow. You make a snow rat. This rat is me. Whenever I see snowmen wearing scarves, I'm like, you don't need that scarf, and I do. Give it to me. Because I am always very cold. I like his hat. I want his hat. Alright. Well, dragon, last year I did a picture. Let me see if I can find it. It was of a rat who was daydreaming about flying. Let me see. Let me see, where is it? Not one of my favorites. This harsh shadow on the tail is because I messed up drawing the line. So I just covered it in. But yeah, I had the urge to draw wings this day and put them on a rat. And I feel like this is something like what I would go with if I were to make a rat dragon. I would basically just add, maybe not feathers, maybe scales and maybe like bat wings, and give them some horns. But essentially, I've already done it. So, you know, I wasn't too hot on all of my dragon rat combinations, but the idea of a knight I haven't done yet for these Inktobers. So drew a knight who's kind of sneaking around, and what better stand-in for a dragon than a big old cat. Kind of reminds me of that one movie, Secret of Nim, because in Secret of Nim, the cat's name is Dragon. Ah, Brunsleeve says, the rat in armor being stalked by the cat is my favorite. Yay! I really like the way this guy came out. Actually, let me grab my sketchbook real quick. Oops. Because I had to redo this sketch 3 times. Because when I was doing my little doodles for ideas, so that's my rat dragon, wasn't sure what pose to put him in, so I just kept, you know, trying to figure it out. But okay, so here is the sketch I wanted to go with, and I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I can zoom in without making it weird. Look how charming the proportions on that rat is. He's so stout, so chunky. I love it. And so that's what I was trying to go for with this one. Pull that back out. And I think I kind of got it. It's pretty darn close. It's pretty darn close. But the first time I did it and the second time were really off. They didn't look like the sketch at all. I was not happy with how it came out. And so I was getting a little worried actually about the paper because I was scrubbing it so much with the with the eraser. And this was yesterday's. I think the prompt was ash. So I did a chimney sweep kind of thing. And I got all these stars by using my jelly roll, which I don't use often. But this jelly roll doesn't draw very well. If you try to draw like actual lines and stuff, it'll break up. But dabbing on dots, it comes out really nice and white and opaque. So I colored all of it in with my Pentel pocket brush, and then I went in with the jelly roll. Messed up on this house in the background. It looks like someone burnt it down. In any case. So you probably can't see the sketch, but today's prompt word is overgrown, which I kind of kicked myself when I read it, because I feel like, what was it? This one could have been a nice illustration for that. But if you can make it out, some normal sized rats, a cat, and then an overgrown rat. Or an oversized rat. Ron says, rats have pet bugs and jobs in this world, and I love it. Yeah! Thank you so much. Yeah, they wear little clothes too. I honestly have no idea in this world, like, are these human houses? Are they rat houses? Are the rats people size? Are they rat size? Is everything else rat size? Who knows? But yeah, as with all of the illustrations this month, I'm going to be using my Lamy Safari fountain pen. It's running a little low on ink. I might stop in the middle of the stream to like refill it with some ink if it feels low. But yeah, let's get started. Today's is pretty simple. Yesterday I had a lot of trouble trying to decide which parts I wanted to ink in, because I wasn't sure if, you know, these thin lines, like especially this one right here, would show up if I colored it all black. And I have some, like, you know, telephone wires here that I wasn't sure I could ink around. But I decided in the end to ink it all in. Alright, well, let's jump right in, shall we? I'm gonna try to move my book as little as possible, but if it starts to get difficult, I might start spinning it around, and sorry if something goes off the page you can't see. Oh man, the first line is always the most scowy. It's always the most scowy, but here we go. Oh man. Okay. Let me clean off my pen. Oh, hey, Tails! Hello! I start talking in uwu and it summons a Tails. Of all things. Alright. Tails, I hope you're doing alright today. I'm glad you got your internet back so that you can join us today. But yeah, get the ear and the eye, and then with rats, it's all about trying to keep the proportions. If I make it, you know, its neck a little too long, if I make its arms a little too low, then it doesn't quite look right to me. But then I also want to be able to, you know, have them emote and be active, so it's a fine line sometimes. This pen tail has been working pretty well so far. I will say, the thing I'm not quite used to with it that isn't a problem when I use microns is because the ink is wet. I know the microns have wet ink inside too, but like this is, you know, fresh wells of ink. When I go over the same spot multiple times, it kind of, the ink kind of pools and gets darker, which isn't always what I'm going for, so gotta be careful about that. But that said, if I do want to increase the line width, it is a little easier because it has this desire to pool. I'm gonna draw. Oh man, I've already messed up. Can you guys see where I messed up? Because these two rats' heads are right next to each other, they have to be the same size, and this guy's eye is so much smaller than this guy's eye. Usually it's not a big deal, but like because they're right next to each other, it like stands out. You know, that kind of thing. A lot of things I will try to sort of fix by either coloring it in completely black or changing the drawing somewhat. But I think that one, because it's on the face, it's a little too late. Things on the face are very hard to fix. Alright. But yeah, thanks for coming, you guys. I know today's stream is a little early. It's not my usual time. It is 8 o'clock for me right now. 8:10 specifically. Today is, what is it? Traditionally, it's Columbus Day, but nowadays we kind of call it Indigenous People Day. And we get school off for that. And if you don't know, I work at a school, so a college, so when they get off, I get to enjoy the holidays too. Braun says, I get scared using those type of pens, because I feel like I'm gonna break it. He just has a smaller eye. Tail says, honestly, Zero, I don't notice most of your mistakes, not until you point them out. Braun says, I didn't get school off. Aw, sorry, Bronze. I mean, my sister got last week off, for fall break, so, yeah, it's not a national holiday. It's just certain counties in our area will get school off. But I did get to no work today, so I was home, and I figured might as well get the stream going, and so we can end early and I don't have to stay up so late. If you don't know, my streams start at 9 o'clock for me because I get off work at like 7, get home at around 8. Gotta have some time to eat. Tails is like here I just think, oh hey, that rat has smaller eyes than the one next to them. It could be a smaller rat too. Like sometimes it's like small face. Because Columbus was trash, LMAO. You're right, and you should say it. Yeah, you know, I've always, whenever I think of Christopher Columbus, the first thing I think of is this old cartoon. It was a really bad cartoon, too. I forget what it's called, but there was this little bookworm who would eat wood, and he would eat books, and by eating them, he, like, consumed their knowledge or something. But he also, like, he was basically a termite, I think. Wait, was he a bookworm or a termite? I think he called himself a bookworm, but, like, those aren't actual bugs, so he was probably just a termite that really liked books. And he could eat wood so fast that he basically could carve, like Woody Woodpecker, sort of. He would carve them into furniture. So, like, I just remember this one scene where Christopher Columbus... Oh, yeah, by the way, Christopher Columbus is, like, his friend or something. But he gives him a globe, and the bug, like, carves a hole in the globe and goes inside the cavity and takes pieces of wood and, like, turns it into furniture, and I just love that sequence so much. And then there was like this trippy scene in the middle of the movie where he like where Columbus has a dream about I don't remember, the crew like mutinying or something. It kind of like when Disney does the Heffalumps and Woozles or the Pink Elephants, that kind of sequence. But yeah, it was a really bad movie, and I really liked it as a kid. So like, I kind of that's my only association with Christopher Columbus. I'm glad we're moving away from celebrating him in a holiday without getting rid of the holiday, because I like holidays. It's nice that they're taking it, instead of just getting rid of it, that they're taking the opportunity to like recognize the people that he did do wrong, and kind of remind people of the situation that we're in, that this is not the best scenario, but we're all here and we gotta kind of live with our history and our mistakes and not pretend they didn't freaking happen. Tails, I appreciate that you say you don't see my mistakes until I point them out. But that's kind of why I point them out. Because I don't post my work and complain about them on like DeviantArt like I used to as when I was a kid. I don't like, whenever I if I post a Nuzlocke page or whatever, I might say, wow, I had a lot of trouble with this, but I won't necessarily go in going, man, I hated how that turned out and how this turned out, and oh boy, pity me, guys, isn't it so bad? But on the Patreon and in like, public private spheres, I think it's fun to know where the artist didn't quite intend for something to happen and what is technically a mistake. Like, these aren't subjective mistakes, they're technical, but you just don't know that they are because you don't know what the intent was. In art, a lot of the time, it's not so much like what's objectively good or bad, it's what did the artist want, what was the intent, is it bad writing if the bad writing, quote unquote, was intentional and like done on purpose? There's arguments for both, like if it effectively gets across a certain mood, then maybe it was effective. I still think if you write an annoying character and they annoy me, like, congratulations, but they're still annoying and I still don't like them. Does that make them a good character or a bad character? I'm not happy. Like, even a villain can still be likable. You don't have to make them like infuriating to read. But maybe you that was the intent. Maybe they wanted this character to just really get on your nerves, and like they didn't want anyone to be able to stand them. They don't want them to be what's the word? Sympathetic. So I don't know where the line is. But certainly I'm not saying oh, here are my mistakes and it makes the piece bad. It's like, here are some things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to see. But it's a little bonus, a little a little peek into my process. Not sure I like the eye there, but I'm gonna deviate a little from the sketch and arch the nose slightly, because I think that gives him more of a brutish appearance. I didn't arch it enough. I wanted it to like come really high up. Ah, whatever. Whatever. Like the sketch is here. I'm like, I'm gonna arch it a little. Oops. Golly. Braun says, would have been nice having one more day added to fall break. Oh, that would have been so nice, yeah. A lot of people got 2 days off. They got Monday and Tuesday. We only just got Monday, which, you know, it's what it is. I'm not gonna complain. I'm grateful for whatever time we can get. Oops. Oh man. I kind of wanted to give him an ear tag. Maybe I can still add one in. What number should I give him, you guys? What number should be on the ear tag? I want it to look kind of like his bigness is maybe not natural. Yeah, it was a movie. Yeah. Hi Gavin. Hello. Thanks for coming. Braun says, I have no idea what you're talking about. Now I'm interested. It makes them a bad character. Because you want to get across that the character without annoying the audience. You want the character to get across being annoying without annoying the audience, right? Was that Christopher Columbus movie called The Magic Voyage? Oh my goodness, I think it was. I think it was. Tail says 13, Braun says 25. The number 13 actually gave me an idea, so I'm not gonna go with either of them. I'm gonna go with number 14, because today is number 14 of Inktober. Hopefully I don't mess this up. But thank you for the ideas, guys. It sparked my imagination? I don't think that's the word for it. And I'm gonna color the rest of this in to hide the fact that I didn't leave space for the tag. I'm pretty sure these tags usually aren't black. But you know what? C'est la vie. And all that. Okay. Oh! Come on, camera. Wake up. There we go. Yeah, I have no idea why the camera keeps turning off occasionally. It's the auto turn off function is off. I turned that off. The battery is plugged in to the power, so it's not that the battery is running low. Maybe it's like trying to prevent it from overheating. Maybe it's like a built-in sort of, you know, function that it has to turn off if it thinks no one's using it. But I am using you, camera. Don't you trust me to stay on? I am not digging the look of this rat. I made his ears too small. I kind of wanted to shrink the ears a little because, I don't know. I feel like gigantism would maybe, look like that. I don't know. I don't know what my reasoning was there. Okay, sometimes I hold my breath and then I wake up and it's like, oops, kind of need to breathe. Let's see, Zero, I tossed a screenshot in the mouse house. Yeah, let me check it out. Yeah, that guy, I forget his name. Was it like Wormy or something? I don't remember. But I love that guy. He like sings this stupid little song and he drills. He does this drill technique where he like carves furniture. It's I don't know. I find that kind of stuff charming. Where a character just has the ability to like create things out of nothing. Just like sudden and instant interior decorating. Yeah, but that's the movie I was talking about, The Magic Voyage. It was so bad. This is gonna be one of the faster days, I think. It's a pretty easy concept. Some of these Inktober's take very little time. Like this one. Usually if it's just characters doing a thing, it doesn't take too long. Because all I'm doing is outlining the sketch. What usually takes longer is when I have to do a background, like yesterday's chimney sweep one. That one took like an hour and a half, I think, at least. Maybe even 2 hours. I wasn't really paying attention. But like trying to figure out which parts to color in, which parts to leave a white gap so that it doesn't disappear. It kind of takes some planning, because if you don't do it right, there's no going back. Once you've covered it, you can't uncover it. Oof, okay. This guy doesn't really look like much of a rat, honestly. He looks like, you know what he looks like, what he reminds me of? I forget what it was called. I think it was, I even forget which animals it was a combination of, but there was one of the Redwall books had a creature that was some kind of mix of two vermin creatures, I mean. One of them was a weasel. I forget what the other one was, but he had like disproportionately small ears, and he was disproportionately large. And yeah, I kind of wish his ears were bigger. I don't know how I could do that. Maybe I can no, I think I'm gonna leave it. I'm not gonna mess with that. Wow, guys, are we done? Is that the stream? Half an hour in. Braun says, now I have to watch it if it's on YouTube for free. Oh my goodness, Bronze. I haven't seen it in like in a tree's age. I used to have these VHSs. I'm gonna have to turn the paper so I can do this part. But I used to have these VHSs that my parents had recorded movies on. And so that was one of the movies that was on it. And I would watch it a lot. Because it was the only thing we had, you know? It's, not in that we couldn't afford movies, like, we had movies, I think. But, like, we didn't have internet. It wasn't like everything was available. So, if you weren't in the mood for, like, you know, that movie, you put on this other movie, and you just kind of rewatched things a lot. Instead of always finding something new to watch. I just, like, the animation is so bad. The lip syncing especially, it's like atrocious in the movie. But I really liked it. It was like this weird, I couldn't stop watching. The weird way that they would talk, because their mouths wouldn't move properly, but then like the dialogue would keep going, and it was just really fascinating to me. I wouldn't tell anyone to watch it, but Bronze, if you are interested to see what a train wreck it is, have fun. And maybe let me know what you think. Oh my goodness, I reached over to do control save. Yeah, it's called The Magic Voyage. It's about Christopher Columbus and the woodworm to save a magical firefly. Oh, I hated that subplot. They always, like, throw in these stupid little love interests. Tails says, also ignore the amount of tabs I have. Tails says, then that movie is The Magic Voyage and the whole thing is up on YouTube for free. Good. Nobody should ever pay money for that movie. Pencil in those white gaps. Streaming, but speed run. Streaming, but speed run. I'm just going so fast. Bron says, I used to have a good chunk of the Jurassic Park movie on VHS, but I don't anymore. I was also really scared of those movies. Gavin says, kind of like how I rewatch YouTube videos sometimes. Yeah, I will occasionally rewatch YouTube videos if they're like a video essay that I just kind of don't remember. Depending on what I'm doing while I watch my videos, sometimes I even forget like the entire video, so I will rewatch things once I've forgotten about it enough. But, you know, back then as a kid, I would just rewatch stuff over and over again daily. One of my other favorites was Quest for Camelot. Quest for Camelot is such a good movie! But it got pretty bad reviews. Pretty much any reviewer I know dislikes Quest for Camelot. So, I'm not certain how good of a movie it is. Maybe I'm just being nostalgic, but I really love that movie. I think you can still tell he's a rat, and he looks like a big rat. He doesn't just look like a normal proportioned rat that's like suddenly bigger. He looks like he might have been giganticized. Like he's overgrown, not just scaled up. I don't know what the word is. What's the opposite of shrunk? He hasn't been shrunk, he's been enlarged. I don't like the word enlarged. But yeah, he's a big boy. He is a big brute of a boy. Okay, I'm done. Hey guys, I'm done. Oh no, I'm not. Let me ground these guys. So I did come into the stream with a sketch prepared. I think it took like 30 minutes maybe to get the sketch. Because it's hard to see the blue pencil on the camera can't really pick it up very well. And I don't think that's the camera's fault. Because I realized the blue pencil that I'm using is technically a non-photo blue. So I guess if it doesn't show up at all, then then it's doing its job, you know? But yeah, I didn't want you guys just watching me wave a pencil around and not see anything. But now that I am done here, I wanted to play around with some watercolors. And I wanted to rant a little bit about color. I know I'm not really one of those, you know, art blogs that talk about a lot of technical fine art stuff, so a lot of this might not be part of your interest or like what you're here for, but I have been very upset about it recently. Not upset like, oh, this is a travesty, but upset as in like, I don't know what to do, and so I want to rant about it. Let me catch up on the chat real quick. Braun says, I used to, oh yeah, I read that one. Gavin says, I also have tacos. Tacos good. Tacos from Taco Bell? I thought you said you couldn't eat Taco Bell. Tail says, I rewatch video essays all the time. Yeah, I mean, if they're good ones, then it's good to like refresh the information, right? And sometimes they go so fast, it's hard to really pick things up the first time around. Gavin says, I usually rewatch videos when I do something like farming in Pokey MMO. Yeah, I watch things a lot when I'm drawing. Gavin says, swole rat. Gavin says, hitting the gym since 2007. Tail says, I don't remember it, but I remember thinking Quest for Camelot was fine. Like, nowhere near as bad as people said it was. Braun says, this cat doesn't know what's coming for him. So, I think, oh, I didn't give him whiskers. Swole rat needs whiskers. Whiskers are kind of scary. You can just completely ruin a piece by putting a whisker in the wrong place. There we go. And I also, I don't know if you can see it, but you probably can't see it on the stream. You can kind of see it here. You see these smudges? I feel like I didn't have this issue in the past. Yeah. Oh, wait, no, here. Well, this is because I use a different pen. The microns don't do this where, like, you close the book and it just kind of rubs off on the other side of the page. So if you're the kind of person who, like, draws on both sides, just be careful of that if you use actual ink. I'm gonna close this because I don't care too much, but yeah, it's sometimes I'll like draw something and then I'll go and like add details over here and it just like smudges the ink all over the place. But that's the Inktober part of today's stream. Now I want to talk about watercolor for a sec. Oops. And I want to talk about this color. So I went to ooh, that's bright. Let me see if I can turn down the brightness a little bit so you can see. Give me a sec. Maybe if I turn it down 2 times. It's a lot. Is that a little better maybe? I don't know. Okay, so I have this palette. It's a palette of student grade watercolors. The Cotman Winsor Newton are their student grade colors. All right, I haven't actually opened them yet, but I had this palette a long time ago. I got it for a birthday, and I really liked using it, but then I left it on a curb somewhere and couldn't find it anymore. So I went on Amazon and bought it again. But while I was waiting for it to arrive, I went and made this palette. You've seen this palette before. This is my my mini palette that I made. It's got 5 colors that work really well together. So let me rant a little bit about color. So when you're working with paints, okay, especially watercolors, I guess, because you don't need white, since the waters it down. But when you're working with pigments, you really need just 3 colors. 6 if you want to go extreme, but you got your yellow, blue, and red. Basically your primaries. And out of those, you can make all the colors in the color wheel. Now, the reason why some people have 6 is because every color can have a warm and a blue, not blue, a warm and a cool tone. So this color right here, I know it looks orange, but it's cadmium red. And this color right here is alizarin crimson. So this would be the warm red, and this would be the cool red. And when you're mixing colors, you want to mix the cool with the cool and the warm with the warm. Now you don't always need that. So when I made this mini palette, I have 1 yellow and 1 blue and 2 reds. Really, it's just 1 red, and this one is to sort of tone down the other ones, to sort of muddy it so I can get some earth tones. And then my last piece is what some people would call a neutral tint. A neutral tint is there to darken your colors and to be a stand-in for black. Because when you use pure black pigment, it doesn't look very good. It kind of flattens things out. And I made this myself, and it's 3 parts Prussian blue, 1 part crimson red, and 2 parts vermilion red, which is this one right here. And that gives you this cool gradient between almost black, when you have like it really, 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 really saturated, it comes out pretty much black. But then when you water it down, it comes out kind of bluish. Hello, Leonard! Thanks for coming to the stream. Sorry, I'm going on a little bit of a watercolor paint rant right now because I need to talk to someone about this, and gotta get my knife out. But anyways, yeah, so the reason I have this, right, is because, shoot, give me a sec. Oh, man. So I made this palette out of Artist Loft paints. Here are the paints that I made that last one out of. Okay. So you got your Prussian blue, your vermilion red, and your crimson red. And I mixed all three of those together and I got my black. And I've been using this for a while. Now, Artist Loft is really cheap watercolor. It's basically the Michaels brand, I think, if I'm not mistaken. It's what Michaels puts. It's basically your great value watercolor. If you go to Giant and you get your like great value stuff, that's like, you know, way cheaper than the brand stuff. Yeah, that's what it is. So I don't really want to keep using it, but I've really fallen in love with this color that I've made. So I'm trying to find a neutral tint to buy, because this palette, as great as it is, see, it has its yellow, which is the same lemon yellow that I have here. It has its yellow. It has a warmer yellow. It has your 2 reds, 2 blues, and it has all of these what you would kind of call what's the word, like it's there to make it easier for you. They're just there to make your life a little easier, so you don't constantly have to mix your yellows with your blues to get a green. You can just have a green in your palette. I forget, there's like a term for it. In any case, so these colors are really nice. I've used this palette before, like I said. The reason this is a new palette that I'm opening just now is because I lost the one that I had before. I went and messed up. I left it, I lost it. So I'm just opening it up again. But this palette comes with a Chinese white. And I know you've probably heard, but you're not supposed to use white in watercolor because it kind of leaves a residue of white paint, which can muddy, it can, I don't know, just give the wrong kind of look to watercolor. Whereas if you just lighten your colors with water, it looks a lot cleaner, a lot brighter, I guess. So I kind of wanted to replace the white, since in the past I never really used it, with a darker color, as I use this one all the time. And looking at this swatch right here, I know the color doesn't come out quite right on the screen. You're seeing it a little maybe a little more saturated than it is, I don't know, but it's very neutral. The closest color that would be is a tube called Payne's Gray, and you've probably heard that term before. Payne's Gray. It's a mix color that, you know, depending on what brand of paint you get, could look completely different. Come on. I don't know why these things are so hard to open. I am not an unboxing or a watercolor channel, so this isn't something that I do a lot, but this isn't the first time I've opened one of these before either, so I'm not sure why I can't get them out of the things. But yeah, in any case, what was I saying? Oh, so I went to look for Payne's Gray. I'm thinking, okay, that's the color that I need. That's what I want in my two, do I have scissors?
that's the color that I want, Payne's Gray. I go online to do my research, and I think I want a certain brand, but I'm caught between two brands. M-Gram, which puts out watercolors that they use honey in as the binder, which is super cute. Like, I love the idea that they just use honey as part of the recipe. And I'm also looking at Da Vinci's watercolor, because it's like it's a little less blue than the M-Gram one. So I go on Blick.com and I look up their pigment codes. Now this is where it gets kind of technical, so sorry in advance. But watercolors, especially watercolors that aren't real colors, like Payne's Gray, each company will mix their own colors, right? So they have to give you that information, and they give you the information in it's kind of some kind of code. You got your ultramarine blue or whatever is what you could call it as its name, but the code is PB27. So if you go to a store and you're like, I'm looking for PB27, it's like, okay, you know what pigment they've used for it. That's a really bad way of explaining it. Sorry if that's confusing, but like, let me see if this one has the information. Let me see. Here. So you can't see it probably, but this green Viridian Hue is pigment PG7. So that's pigment green 7. So even though Winsor Newton calls it Viridian Hue, if I wanted to get this same color in another brand, if I don't like Winsor Newton and I want to, let's say, use M-Gram, then I would look for M-Gram's PG7 and it would be the same color in theory. Doesn't always work that way, but in theory it should be the same. And they might call it a different thing. They might not call it Viridian Hue. They might call it like forest green or something. I don't know. Like the name would be different, but the pigment is the same. Anyway, so I look up Payne's Gray's pigment information, and they freaking use black in the mixture. Payne's Gray is made out of lamp black, and I'm like, the whole point here is that I'm not using black. I don't want to use black. I don't know if it's just acceptable as long as it's in a mixture of another kind. Honestly, I don't know, because I'm not a watercolor expert. You know, I'm no watercolorist or whatever. I just like painting with it and I hear stuff. But I like my color because it's just made out of blues and reds. So I decided to give up on Payne's Gray. I might go back to it because it's a very popular color. Payne's Gray, it's usually on a lot of professional watercolors color palettes as a neutral tint. So I might give it a try. But paints are expensive. Oh hey, I think I figured out how to do it. On my last one, I figured out how to break open this. So you cut open the paper on top, and on the bottom is where they kind of tape it together. So you can open it from the bottom. See, I learn things, you guys. It just takes me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tries before I get there. It's the kind of content you come here for. It's the struggle. So I'm gonna open the white, even though I'm not gonna use it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replace the white with this color. I went to Michael's today because today's the last day for their 50% off coupon. And I picked up a tube of Moon Glow. This is Daniel Smith's Moon Glow. And it's kind of a purple. It is made out of, let's see, PG 18, PB 29, and a PR 177. So none of these are black. PG is green, PB is a blue, and PR is a red. None of them are black. I'm hoping that it will be, it'll open, like, it'll come down dark enough to act like a black, like what I have there. It's not quite what I'm looking for. It's very purple, and it has these pink undertones. Whereas this is more blue. But I think the, what is this one? Shoot, what color is that? I tossed all of the information on the ground. Tossed all of my color information on the ground. I think that's Prussian blue? Phthalo blue. I think that's phthalo blue. Whatever this blue is, I think if I mix it with the Moon Glow, it'll give me the same effect that I'm going for. Let's see if I can get this out. That was easy. And I'm just gonna basically squeeze this into here and let it dry out. I'm assuming it's going to crack like these ones did. Hopefully not as much though, because these were really cheap paints, and I'm hoping this has more binder in it that like makes it better, but I'm not sure. But hopefully it doesn't spill all over the place. I'm gonna go ahead and open that up, and then we'll be able to give it a go. My first attempt at using a professional grade paint. I'm not gonna squeeze too much out. I'm gonna just go with half a squeeze, maybe. Didn't fill it all the way to the top. If I can push it into the corners a bit, maybe it'll stay down better. It's really nice and dark. Also, guys, this color here, this Prussian blue from Artist Loft, it does not look like any other Prussian blue from any other brand. And I'm so upset about it. But yeah, sorry, that was my watercolor rant. I've been doing so much like reading and video watching and just research on this, trying to figure out what color I should replace this with, because I love this palette so much. I hope it's not too dark for you guys. I think it's like too dark now. Hold on, let me brighten it up a bit more again. Let me catch up with the chat, because I've been ranting for a solid however long. Oh, Gavin's dad made the tacos. Can eat Taco Bell, wouldn't eat it while running because it's I heard it's like laxatives. It's never hurt me before, but I do hear bad things about Taco Bell. Gavin says running plus Taco Bell equal plus no nearby bathroom equals disaster. Hello, Leonard. Good to see everyone here. Also, this is so cool. Thank you, Tails. I'm glad someone at least is having taking something from my rambling. Let's see. Hi. Leonard says, "Don't apologize." Oh, thank you, Leonard. I'm glad you guys are putting up with me tonight. I'm in a ranty mood because I just went out and bought this Moon Glow, and so like I finally feel like I've gotten somewhere. I've been itching to spend money on watercolors for a good long while, but it's finally time to retire this palette. I'm going to close it up, and this is going away. I'm not going to use this anymore because it's time to start using actual, not professional grade, but slightly nicer paints. I'm not going to throw away this white. In fact, I'm going to take one of my other half pans. I'm going to toss it in there. The Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolor pans are slightly smaller than the ones you get on Amazon. You see how much space there is? Yeah. It's like, it just falls right out, so. But that's going to go in there. I'm going to put it aside. If I end up not liking this, I might replace it with something else. But for now, it's Moon Glow. Haha. Tails, I need to talk to someone about this, and you're all gonna listen. A true streaming mood. As someone who does this on our Sonic hot takes. Oh my goodness. Tails, you need to like play Sonic again, because we have been starved of Sonic content from your streams. Leonard said, I personally love to hear someone talk passionately about any subject, though. Aw, that's really sweet. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Sometimes if I'm too passionate about a subject I don't know a whole ton about, I trip over my words and it becomes a nightmare to follow. Chico says, why does my internet has to poop its pants when it's a Monday stream? Oh, I'm so sorry. Leonard's like, no, as well. Leonard says, my mom's a professional watercolor painter, among many other things, and when she's gonna use a pure white, she's got this rubbery substance she can peel off of the paper. That stuff is called, masking fluid, I think. You can get all sorts of brands of masking fluid, and there are a lot of videos out there, that review that stuff as well. So, I've never used masking fluid myself, but yeah, since in watercolor, you don't really want to use white. The white actually becomes the white of the paper. And I don't know how best to put this. I'm gonna do some swatching. I hope you guys don't mind. I always like to kind of swatch things out just to sort of break into the colors. When they're all nice and pristine like this, I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to touch them. So doing something simple and easy like a swatch kind of makes me go, yeah, okay, at least I touched them already, so it's not a big deal. And it's nice because it helps you know what the color looks like when it's outside of a pan, because what you see on the pan isn't always accurate to what you get on the paper. I hope I don't run out of space. I might not have left enough space for myself. I'm gonna bring my water cup over here so I don't keep having to reach across to it. Even though I'm using a water brush, it takes a lot of water to wash out pigment completely, so I'm gonna rinse and then squeeze and wash. But yeah, that's really cool, Leonard. I didn't know your mom was a professional watercolorist. Maybe she can give me some tips. I don't know. Whoa, my goodness. The lemon yellow looks like a highlighter on the stream. I know I can probably do a drag out to see what the lighter color looks like as well, but I think I'm just gonna go with a simple kind of swatch today. But yeah, the what's it called again? The masking fluid tends to tear paper if you're not careful. Tail says, "Oh, Zero, I wanted to ask your opinion. I was once told white watercolor paint was good if you're painting watercolor on a darker canvas. Is that true, or would it be the same issue?" I would say instead of using white, you should use gouache. If you get a white gouache, that will do the same thing but better. White watercolor, it's usually too transparent to be any good for painting on darker surfaces. So like if you painted something like this and then you wanted to go over it with a white and you want the white to show up, instead of using white watercolor, which is transparent and would just give you this kind of cloudy, not sandy, but this cloudy, misty, powdery sort of feel, if you use a gouache instead, it will be more opaque and actually cover what's underneath. And if you use gouache to mix with your watercolors, let's say like this yellow is very transparent probably, if you mix it with gouache, it makes it less transparent. So I'd say still don't use watercolor, white watercolor. I'm sure there's a use for it somewhere. I just don't know what it is. I haven't done much research on that, so I don't quite know. I wanna really run this in. Gonna squeeze some water on that. Chico says, call an adult, Zero. Chico says, exploiting bees is not cute. Their services have to be paid for. We are paying them. Beekeepers are providing a service by caring for the bees, making sure they have enough honey, enough flowers, making sure that they have, you know, warmth in the winter, that they're healthy. They, like, you know, give them medicine if the hive isn't doing well. Beekeepers have an incentive to keep their bees alive. You know, they're not going to take honey that the bees need to survive. If the bees aren't making enough honey, they're not gonna take all the honey they have, because then they won't have any bees. It's best for everyone. Oh, I forgot to do this color. This color is very intense, if I remember properly. It looks almost the same on camera, actually, but I think once it dries, you really see it. It's very staining. Do you see the color of my brush? Do you see the color of the hairs on this water brush? That used to be white. That, when I got that, it was white / transparent. It's stained like this primarily because of that color. Like, I think it's a little bit of all of them. but a lot of it is that color right there. I'm not sure if I used the greens very often. I don't remember, but I don't have really a desire to replace them with anything, like I do with the white. So I'm just gonna leave them. Oh, I remember what they're called now. They're called convenience colors. So like basically when you start watercolor, you need maybe this whole row, if not just one of each. And then as you go along, as you watercolor more and more, you'll start to notice that you're constantly mixing a certain type of green. Like you're always, like every painting you do, you always go in for the yellow and the blue. And at that point, you can then say, okay, well, I know I use this color a lot, so I'm going to add that color already mixed to my palette, so that I can just easily, you know, reach in for it. Oopsies. Sometimes my water brush gets a little dry. And then I try to wet it, and it gets way too wet. I'm not digging the earth tones in this palette. And I almost feel like I didn't use them a lot when, like, back when I was using this palette. Hi, Fire Dragon! Sorry I missed you earlier. Thanks for coming. It's always good to have you guys around. And if I didn't say hi, Chico, hi, Chico. Chico says, imagine colors that you have to be certain age to a certain age to make use of. Huh. Leonard says there are blog posts out there comparing different Payne's Gray brands. Yes, and I saw a very good video that someone did that did like all of the brands, and I specifically liked the M-Gram and the Da Vinci one, which is why I went for those two. But not only could I not find those brands anywhere in my area, so I would have had to order it online. But when I saw that it was when I saw that it was made with black, I was like, no, I don't know about that. So I'm gonna dip into my Moon Glow for the first time. Let's see what this guy can do. I don't really use wet paint out of the tube. So since it's not dry yet, I'm not sure how to handle it. It's not that dark. It's not as dark as I wanted it to be. I could put down a lot of pigment like that, but I feel like I don't want to just like grab paint and like smear it on the paper. I'm gonna water this down and let's see how it behaves when it's washed out. I'm just taking more and more pigment out of my brush by washing it, and then I'm lifting it from the paper to see how it comes up. And I'm gonna grab some more color. I'm gonna drop some more color. This paper I'm using is really bad paper, by the way, so I'm not gonna fault it for misbehaving in that regard. But I kind of know what to look for. That's paper fault and what's the paint. It's not getting very dark. Maybe when it's finally dry and I can really dig into it, I'll be able to play around with making it darker. But it's not giving me the black that I want, you know? My mixture came out really black. Oh, I'm gonna try to go into some of the blue and mix that in, maybe. That's too much. No, that just turned it blue. Man, this color is very strong. Well, since I have the blue there, I might as well also water that out. The blue with the moon glow in it. The moon glow, since it was 50% off, it was only $5. So if I end up not liking it, I can always go out and actually get a Payne's Gray. I'm not opposed to using black if it's in the Payne's Gray. Since so many people use it, I'm assuming it is a good color. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really like behind on the chat. There are Zero. I would not have learned that at all. Chico says 2 out of 10, not bad. Gavin says, excuse me. Gavin says, be right back. Get a drink. Chico says moon glow. Ooh, I have to be real here. I hate post of these names. Most of these names. I hate most of these names. Camera died. Oh, it's live again. Yeah, I'm gonna actually, kind of, press this button and try to... You know, actually, no, I'm gonna lighten it a little more, I think. I'm gonna put it back to 1. I think it's a little too dark now. Send your whole palette out for burial at sea. I just use regular color pencil when I color. The Altoid palette needs a proper stand, like a trophy. They look like gems. Fire Dog says, nothing wrong, drawing sometimes is the best way. True, it can be, probably just depends on the artist. If bees make too much honey, they leave the old nest and swarm, which is what gets them killed, so it's better to have some of it taken. Leonard says, there's a bluish tint on your water brush. I googled, Tail says, I googled uses for white watercolor, and boy, I do not understand these words, lol. Biggest thing I see repeated is it's good for mixing in some cases and makes stuff more opaque. Opaque just means less transparent. Fire Dog says, it's okay, lol. Bad paper. Why is it bad paper? As an artist, everybody has this subconscious default palette. I, for once, rarely use red, not if I can replace it with a pinkish or brownish color. Actually, magenta is a really good replacement for red if you want to have a more versatile color. Leonard said, like, I know what pigments I'm gonna have to replace down the line. That's really good, yeah. It's really good to be able to sort of what's the word, experiment and like learn what you use and like how you like to use it, rather than you know, being so precious with color. I'm precious with the moon glow and like Payne's Gray. I'm like, do I get the moon glow or do I get the Payne's Gray? Because I don't want to spend so much money that okay, hold on a sec, you guys. I actually decided I don't want to use the color in the palette until it dries. So I'm gonna squeeze some of those moon glow out onto here and use it from there. Just because I want to be able to water it down and you know, actually use it. So, shoot, I shouldn't have touched that first. But okay, so the reason this paper is bad paper, is because it, for several reasons. I think the main cause of why it's bad, if that's what you're asking, is because it's cellulose paper and not cotton rag, which is cotton is better for watercolor. I'm not sure what the science is behind it, but when I've noticed that when I paint on this paper, the color gets soaked up into the paper rather than running around on it, which I don't have the same problem with other papers. Some other papers I can move the paint around a bit easier. It like stays wetter. This paper dries super fast compared to other papers that I've used. It peels easier. Pills. Sorry. Pill. It basically like if you get it wet and then you scrub it too much, like not even all that much, but just a little too much, it turns into little bits of paper that come off, and it warps like crazy. Every paper is gonna warp. That's just you know what water does to paper. You can't stop that from happening, but it shouldn't be that bad. It shouldn't warp so much. And that's probably because the paper is actually rather thin, so it doesn't, you know. I'm just mixing the moon glow with all of the paints because I've used the other paints before. I have never used moon glow before, and I want to see how it reacts to the others. Another thing is the moon glow is actually a Daniel Smith color, and the other colors are all Cotman, Winsor and Newton, which may not seem like a big deal, but if different companies use different formulas, it can sometimes react strange. Ooh, this looks like could be a good color. I'm not sure what I expect from it. I know I want it to dull down the colors. But yeah, like wet into wet is very hard on this paper. It just kind of dries up. And then the pigments don't seem to soak into the paper. I don't want the water. I don't want the water to soak into the paper too fast. I don't want the paper to be super thirsty. But I do want the pigment to be workable. And sometimes I just feel like when I put pigment on this paper, it clumps up in a way that I don't want it to. And again, it's something that I don't notice with other papers. If it was something that happens with all paper, then I would say that's the paint's fault. It's quite light. I don't know if that's because I'm using it wet and the other ones I have to activate. I don't want to use too much of this color. Da-da-dee-da-dum. As a, I know what pigments I'm gonna blah blah blah. When would it be good for a watercolor to be less transparent? Leonard said when you want the color to be lighter? No, I think you want it to be more transparent when you want it to be lighter. The lighter your color, the more transparent it is. A less transparent watercolor is maybe if you want, if for some reason you want it to be super staining. Like if you want it to, like, I don't know actually. I'd say if you've drawn something, you've put something down, and then you want to put something on top of it, like acrylic. Like if you want to paint it like it's acrylic, then you would want that. But I'm not 100% sure. This one's gonna be interesting. I'm not certain about these already mixed colors. I mean, the greens aren't actually already mixed. They are their own pigments. I don't know about the sap green. Maybe that's a mixture. Just gonna put them down. Most of the time when I want something to be more opaque, it's because I've made a mistake. To be honest with you. It's because I didn't mean to cover a spot and I want to lighten it. With watercolor, you can never go from dark to light. It's always gonna be light to dark. And so if you've accidentally gone too dark and you want to lighten it back up, ooh, that's a nice color. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's quite a nice color. Watercolor pigments are additive in nature. The more paint there is, the more similar it is to the hue in the tube. Oh, I see. Oh, cool. Thank you for the explanation. Oh, I misread the question. Thanks. Yeah, and I guess, yeah, that's another thing. Like, if you wanted to cover a section, like, instead of a, how do you say it, a glaze, if you want your glaze to be a little more of the color that you're putting on top of it, oops, I need more color. I kind of overdid it. Huh. That's almost a black, what I've made there. If it wasn't so light, I think I could use that as a gray or a black. Red, yellow, and blue are, you know, the primaries. So if you mix all three of them together, you get black or brown. You get brown, which is basically just a warm black, I guess. So when you take a color that's green, which is basically already a mixture of yellow and blue, and you mix it with the neutral tint, oftentimes it will come out. It'll come out murky. This is a muddy color we're getting. A lot of people like yellow ochre, but I've also seen some people who kind of turn their noses up on yellow ochre. I don't know where I stand quite yet. I know I didn't use it a lot, just out of, I didn't know what to use it for. It didn't seem to do anything for me that mixing yellow with another color didn't do. And these colors right here are all coming out pretty much the same. Oh, and that's just Moonglow itself. Maybe I can take some of that and I can lighten it up, and I can put a very light pigment wash. I must say, I do like how more subtle it is compared to what I saw on screenshots of people swatching it. On the color charts, it always looked very pink to me, but this is a lot more neutral in person. Alright, well, let's draw something. We've got, let's see, it's 9:30. I started at 7:45? Almost 8. I'm gonna say 8 to make it easy, so I've been going for an hour and a half. Let's do something on actual watercolor paper. This is 300 GSM, so it's very heavy, 140-pound paper. Acid free, which is good. It doesn't say if it's cotton or not. But you guys, go ahead and give me a something to draw in the chat, and I will come back with more water, because my water is opaque. Be right back, guys. Bye, Fire Dragon! Thanks for coming! Leonard likes the muddy colors. Says, oh yes, give me those muddy colors. Gavin says, I haven't used paint colors in years. Last time was in elementary school. That's one thing I really liked about art classes in elementary school, is you got to experiment a lot. If you had a good teacher, they would just like throw everything at you, whether you wanted to or not. I did paints, I did sculpture, I did pottery, I did, like, you know, in high school, I think we had computer graphics classes for the first time. It was really nice. Can't go from dark to light. Keep writing things wrong today. No, we got you, Leonard. We got you. Yeah, I like earth tones. These are kind of earthy colors, which is nice. I don't like when it's muddy. Like, when you say muddy, usually people mean unintentionally, almost like everything just becomes kind of the same thing, and unless you're doing it on purpose, usually that's not the if it's not the effect that you're going for, then it's not always great. So I need to use a knife to cut out the top page. This art block thing is bound on both sides. The idea is that it makes it stay flatter while it dries, but honestly, it's a bit of a hassle because I'm always afraid of cutting the paper. Maybe my knife isn't sharp enough, I think. Leonard said, Zero Chan, are you gonna invest on a burnt sienna, burnt umber tubes in the near future? I think one of these colors is burnt sienna. I kind of just ripped through the packaging and tossed them on the floor. Yeah, so this one right here is burnt umber. That's this color. And I think this one is burnt sienna. So so we have lemon yellow, cadmium yellow, vermilion, I'm guessing, or maybe that's cadmium. Cadmium red pale hue. Cadmium red. What's this? Crimson? I'm guessing it's some kind of crimson. I think this is ultramarine. What's that blue one? I've lost the packaging for the blue, but I think this one is phthalo blue. This is viridian green, sap green, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, burnt umber, and the moon glow that I got. So yeah. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Winsor Newton's Cotman burnt sienna and burnt umber, or yellow ochre, to be honest. So I might replace this one, especially in the future. I simply need to learn how to use these two better. I don't know what their purpose is other than just using them as straight paint. Tails is like, I'm the shut up it's red meme. But Tails, what are you supposed to do when you have two different reds, right? And that's what I was saying earlier. That's why the hue. Let me grab that again. Oh my goodness. That's why the hue is so important. Like, this one right here is PY65, is that? 60 something. Yeah, 65. And PR255. So this one actually has yellow in it, which isn't great. You know, you want less pigment so that you can mix the colors together. I know, right? It just straight up looks orange. It's a little more ruddy to me. Think Shiny Zigzagoon is this color. Is what I'm seeing in person. It's the Shouty Boy. A chicken. Like my beloved Combuskin Tandoori. Tandoori. That's a cool name for a Combuskin. Oh my goodness. I don't know how to cut this out properly. There we go. I don't want to cut the paper or the paper underneath. combustion. I hated everything that made me dirty as a kid. I think I can just literally just peel that off. Tails, what do you want to do in art class today? Colored pencil. Don't you want to try anything? No. You already gotta use it. These names. But yeah, the names are completely meaningless. So Tails, you're not alone. There's no rhyme or reason to the names. That's why we have to go based on pigment codes. Burnt sienna looks incredibly red, saturated. I'm not sure what a real burnt sienna is supposed to look like. I better do some research. I think normal sienna and umber, like the not burnt kinds, are also good for neutralizing pigments. If you want to go for like whatchamacallit, if you want to I'm gonna put it like this so I can see my swatches. I'm gonna put this here, maybe. Gonna try and orient it. Okay. Oh, sorry for bumping the desk. Let's say about combustion, huh? I'm afraid I'm going to have to take a little time to refill my pen. Sorry, you guys. This might be a bit of a lack of preparation stream where I'm getting water and getting ink and stuff in the middle of stream. But just bear with me. I think I'm just confused with the purpose of burnt sienna and burnt umber. If someone could like do a demonstration on, you know, what they're for, like, oh, if you want your color to do this, then you use burnt sienna. If you want your color, why are there so many bubbles? Come on. I'm pushing the ink out and I'm pulling it back in, and all I see are bubbles. There's still some bubbles in there, but I think it's good enough. I don't know if you guys remember, but there's a scene in Aristocats where the old guy comes in to like help the old lady write her will. And he pulls out a fountain pen, and I didn't know what it was when I was a kid, but I thought it was so funny because he like takes out this pen and he goes squeak, 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 and he pulls out the top and then he goes squeak, 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 and puts it on the top, on the bottom. And he's basically just taking off the cap and like posting it on the back, but because it was a screw-on one, it just, I don't know, something about that motion was so funny to me as a kid. What would I paint the combustion doing? Let me see now. What should I do with this combustion? I'm gonna do, maybe... Oh no, where's my eraser? There's his foot. There's something about drawing a kick that never really works out when I get it on paper. Like, it looks so powerful in my head, and then I like get it down and it's just eh. Yeah, I don't like that. I just don't like it. Yeah, get out of here. I have these like big brushes from Home Depot that I've been trying to remember to use to swipe off my work surface. I have so much erasing going on this month with the Inktober. I'm gonna go ahead and close this up while I draw, because I don't want any dust and stuff getting in there. Man, I'm looking at these color swatches and they look almost like pearlescents. You see a lot of watercolor sets advertising themselves as like gemstone or pearlescent. And that's basically what these guys came out looking like. Before I do it on the paper, let's do some like, I don't know, idea sketching. Oopsies. Ah! Wake up, camera. I haven't finished yet. I haven't finished with you yet. Let's just sketch with pen so you guys can see it. What does Combuskin look like? He's got the feather on the top of his head. Combuskin looks a lot like... What's that Digimon? The pink bird. Because she has the same claws as... Same claw structure. Big old feet. Buskin has some of the biggest chicken feet I've ever seen on any chicken. Beomon! Yes! Leonard said pearlescence. I don't like reflective pigments because I'm going to scan them anyway. Yeah, that's true. It's like, metallic also. Just never scans right. Metallics can look pretty cool in person. If used sparingly. But I'm not a fan of pearlescence. It makes me feel like someone's put glitter in the paint. And I don't like glitter. I'm just gonna end up noodling my sketches at this rate. I need to stop. I've cursed myself with this noodler's black ink. Okay, so if I were to do a kick... arm down. Foot. 1 foot grounded. And the other one up. It's been a while since I've done one of those Pokemon. You know, in December they have the what's it called? The Pokédex December challenge, where you like every day you draw a different Pokemon, and it's like favorite fire type, favorite water type, favorite starter. I've done that I think twice now. The first time I did it, I did my favorite Pokemons, and then the second time I did it, I did my second favorites slash favorites if it changed. And going back and looking at some of those answers that I gave, I'm kind of confused where I was coming from. Like why I chose what I chose. I don't know if you guys ever have that feeling. Going back and like thinking, wait, I liked this? Like a lot? Like to the point that I would do like list it as that thing. See, like it doesn't feel like there's any energy behind the kick. I don't know how to get the energy to push out. Maybe I can just do like a cute old running, like I'm pretty sure that a lot of the ones that I answered for, I was basically like, I have discovered this Pokemon. I've remembered that they exist, and I discovered how to draw them in a way that doesn't suck. Check it out. And then I for some reason decided that made it my favorite of that type. Because I think one of them was like Jinx I added, and it was literally because I had just like drawn it in this way that made me not hate it, and so I was like, it's now my favorite. I forget if it was ice type or psychic type that I put it down for. But I put it down for a favorite something because I was like, hey, look, isn't this the way that I drew this funny and cool? And looking back, I'm like, it's not even that clever. Draw him like running like this. Preposterous! Everybody loves glitter. My only dream is to own a glittery pink tailcoat and top hat. You would need sequins, not glitter. If you had a glittery, if you had a top hat and a tailcoat that was made of glitter, you would never escape. Tail says, cuties, old anime. Twist the body more. Easier said than done. It's my favorite because I love drawing it is a valid answer. Yeah, because I think it was like I had the hair coming down like this, And then I just had its eyes like really big. Like that. And I went more with a smoochum mouth, where it kind of looks like lips, but it also kind of just looks like a duck bill or something. And then my least favorite part of the Jinx design is the weird bras. Like, I don't like it on Jinx. I don't like it on Nidoqueen. Please don't put bras on my Pokemon. So what I ended up doing was what did I do? Let me think. I think I wrapped it around. It went like this. So it's more like a shirt. Oh, and I think the hair like came down over. The hair kind of covered where the arms meet the body. So it's kind of like that. I don't remember. I think I gave her like little feet too. I don't know. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've taken a look at it. But like I made it so that it didn't have these weird breastplates. And I liked it a lot more, and I was suddenly like, hey everybody, look at this! Twist the body more is Nyx's take. I cannot draw a body, twisted or not. And that's like a Bad's Maru with a wig, which is a good thing actually. I'm not sure what a Bad's Maru is. I'm liking this so far. Liking where this is going. Don't know what he's doing. Doing a jump, maybe. He's just leaping into the air. He's so chubby. I think I'm gonna go with this one. I like that one. Though I kind of like this one too. Oh shoot. Which one do you like, guys? One or two? One, two. One, two. One or two. I'm back, says Gavin. Probably gonna take a shower soon. Sorry for the mini babies. You good, Gavin? You good? Take care of yourself. Make sure you ain't a stinky boy for school tomorrow. Do you have tomorrow off? I think you said you have tomorrow off or something. Leonard says the grumpy penguin from Sanrio. Oh, that guy! Sanrio's got some fun characters. Also, Cucumbuskin and Jinx. That jumpy pose has a lot of action to it. It looks like it's doing that big jump into the sky. It's the bird that leapt through time. Okay, let's go with number 2 then. The public has spoken. Oh man, I wish I could just take everything and like shift it down. You can't see the sketch right now. Maybe if I cover the light like that slightly, you can sort of see it, but shoot. It's like there's not enough room for it to breathe. It's not that anything's getting cut off. It's just, it's like slightly crowded. I think I can work with it though. I think if I like do a wash going downward, it'll balance it out. So that's what I'm gonna try. I hate doing thumbnail sketches and then like trying to transfer it to paper that I'm actually gonna like draw on and just losing the line of action, losing the energy that the original had. Which happens a lot. Very frequently. I'm gonna see if I have a kneaded eraser around here somewhere. Do I have a knead boy? Here's one. Tails is like, I believe in you, Zero. Thanks, Tails. I will overcome with the power of friendship. Leonard and myself are now the public. I think Combuskin is like my spirit animal. It attacks with kicks like me. I like fire and chickens, and we both have nice thighs. Tails feels fancy. Leonard's like nice nuggets. Gavin says, looks like Sammy, so cute. Can't wait till Sammy evolves. Can't wait for Sammy to finally get arms. It must be awesome. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera. It must be awesome to go from like having these, I'm pretty sure they're like vestigial wings. Can Torchic fly? I don't think Torchic can fly. So he's got like these wings that it can't really fly with. And then suddenly it grows fingers and it's like, oh, the possibilities.
The possibilities are endless. Oof. Tail says, OMG, I am ready for sleep, but I must study. Yes, get that studying done, Tails. You must learn things. I'm gonna press this even though I don't need to recenter. I mean refocus. It'll keep the camera awake. Yeah, Gavin, Combuskin definitely didn't skip leg day. Them some nice thighs. Other than Slowpoke, Tails, is there any other, like, Pokemon that's canonically eaten by humans? Because I know there are, like, there are definitely some entries, Pokedex entries, that talk about Pokemon eating other Pokemon. But they tend to try and keep humans out of the picture when it comes to consumption of flesh. Of course, seeing as how there are African elephants in the world of Pokemon, or at least the knowledge of them, I guess it's not out of the question that there could be just like other animals, like normal animals that people feed on. I've never been fond of the idea that like there are normal animals in the world of Pokemon though. Like for me, Pokemon is Pokemon. Pokemon are the animals in the world of Pokemon. Okay. Just gonna outline the outside a bit to make it a little thicker so that it stands out slightly more. Because this brush is rather fine. It's extra fine. This brush is so fine it blows my mind. Hey, Mickey. Magikarp. Comvi's honey. That's like milk tank juice. I mean the milk. That's animal byproduct. It's not really the animal itself. I always got milk tank
product and the Moo Moo milk, or no, Moo Moo milk is Miltank, right? Is that Miltank? Whatever the one is from Legend of Zelda that you drink for like health. Is that Moo Moo milk? I get those two confused. I don't know which one is Moo Moo milk. But that's something I really like is commercial products from fictional worlds. Detective Pikachu was chock full of them. Just, I love product placement, but it's like for something that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? It makes the world feel more real. I have a friend who's a graphic designer, and she really wants to do anime conventions with me in terms of like Artist Alley. She wants to try tabling and to share a table with me, and I haven't tabled in a long time, so I would need to like, you know, really revamp my my setup and all that first. But yeah, I'm like looking at her stuff, and her illustrations are nice. You know, they're work in progress. Like, she's certainly improving, but her graphic design game is like on point. It's really good. So I kind of hope she has the idea to do like these postcards that you would you know, if you were traveling in Kanto or whatever, you would buy a postcard and like mail to someone, and she wants to make them like actual postcards that you could actually mail. Ideas like that. I'm like, yes please. Yes please. Miltank juice. Gavin says, don't know if any future generations have mentions of real animals. Tail says, I liked it as a kid because that meant there could be a food chain without my favorite Pokemon having to be eaten. Gavin says, Generation 1 was weird with real life animals. There were fish in Misty's gym, a bird on a Weeping Bell Pokemon card. In the anime, I think they had like, I forget, was it a Pidgey? The first Pidgey that Ash sees is like eating a worm of some kind, and it's very small, so it's like clearly not a Wurmple or a Caterpie. Yeah, Gen 1, yeah, I feel like it didn't really have a sense of where the ground rules were, you know? Because it was the first one. Who knew there was so many more Pokemon out there that they could have like mentioned maybe Donphan instead of an African elephant. That they could have, what was another animal that they like mentioned? There was another one. There were two animals that were specifically named. Okay, I'm gonna let this dry a bit before I try to erase it. The OG idea for Pokemon was that it was like an alternate Earth, but with Pokemon. That's why the first region is just Kanto. Yeah, that's true. It's not even like a fantasy name. It's just literally, here's Kanto. You probably live there. That's also why Poliwag's Dex entry mentions something about a specific ocean. A specific Pacific. This is my, this is the worst part of the process for me, is just waiting for the ink to dry and not knowing if I can erase yet. Because with the watercolors, you can sometimes get away with the ink still being not super ready, but erasers will just rip into your line art. It'll just drag that stuff around. I'm thinking, originally I was thinking like blue, as if it's like sky, just like a smattering, but I almost want to do maybe a green, you know, like a nonsense color, not representational, but it would complement the red on the Combuskin. Let's see what the colors are. It has more orange going up. I got it confused with Blaziken. I gave Combuskin the Blaziken crotch fuzz by accident. I'm sorry, Combuskin, you don't deserve that kind of slander. This is the easiest kind of watercoloring that I know. I've done a little bit of, here, let me pull up someone that only a few of you will recognize. But oh my goodness, I'm so sad. Look at this. Look at the charming energy that this guy has, and then this one's so like static. Ah! It makes me sad. Oh, he looks so hopeful. And then this one's like, yeah. Okay, anyway. I was practicing some watercolor without line art. This was done with my Altoids palette. Tails, do you recognize this little girl? This angry girl? Your line art is less tilted forward. Yeah, he is! He's not as tilted. He's not as hopeful. Like, the eyes are too close together. It's matcha! I wanted to do... Knife. Tails, if people don't know the joke, they're gonna think you want to kill matcha. Yeah, it's our girl. I wanted to do your girl too, but I couldn't find a good picture. All I could find was the picture of her being stinky and like sitting in your laundry. You need to post more chibis. Okay. I'm gonna go in lightly and try to erase some stuff. And I'm gonna go in the direction of the line art, so if it does smear a little, it doesn't look horrible. And that's why my pencils are so light that you can hardly see any of it, because I want to be able to erase them afterwards. Oopsies. So it was still wet there. You can hardly see it, but let me see if zooming in. Look at that. Right there. Oh well, I'll put some darker, I'll put some darker watercolor in that area and maybe it'll cover it up. I keep doing it with my hand, but I wanna practice doing it with the brush. The tilting is the only reason I noticed the tilting, because it's one of the few things I know about drawing poses. I don't want to kill Matcha. Her soul is represented by the knife emoji, so says her mom. She is a very knife forward girl. Okay, let's get Penten. How do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? I'm just painting water right now. Just putting in water. I'm getting a little out into the lines. But it's okay. Sometimes a little messiness is fun. Maybe a little up here too. A little up here. I don't know. Maybe I should just cover the whole thing. Maybe I should just make everything wet. Make everything wet. This paper's holding up pretty nicely to the water. I'm just laying it down. So like on the other paper, by the time I get done with this part will already be dry. Okay, let's try some of this color. Oopsies. Since I have these pre-mixed greens, I'm just gonna go into some green. I'm just gonna grab some of the green and throw it in. Oopsies. Yeah. Don't know.
Go back. Go back that way. Some in here. Sorry, oh, I forgot to zoom back out. Yeah, just gotta zoom back out. Don't want to see it that close. In there, a little darker down here. I sometimes work the colors a little too much, instead of letting it just do things. I tend to like try to force it to do things. Like if I see it sort of clumping together, I'll go in and try to smooth it out rather than just wait for the water to disperse the pigments, because if you wait long enough it'll kind of like spread out and look nice and natural. But no, I'll be like, oh, I don't want it to look like that right this instant, so I'll go in and start playing with it and miss some opportunities. Tail says, I'll put some darker watercolor to cover it up. Oh, is that what a more opaque color would be used for? No, that's not what I mean. I mean, like, the color would still kind of be transparent-ish, but because it's a darker color, it'll, even if you still see it coming through, you won't see it as bad as if it was on stark white. Is what I mean. Especially in this style, when you do line art and then you put watercolor on top, you don't want your watercolor to be transparent, because otherwise it'll cover up the line art. Going with the water, with the paper towel, and taking out some of the color. Okay, I'm gonna see if I have my see if I can plug in my hair blower, hair dryer. Where's my plug? Where's my power? Come here, you. I'm gonna turn my mic off for a sec, guys, so you don't hear the blow. Tail says, but yeah, I distinctly remember my art teacher telling me, in most cases, more tilting equals more energy. That is absolutely the case.
I just lost the energy when I started sketching it again. I didn't tilt the head forward enough. The body didn't go backwards enough. It tends to happen when I'm trying to recreate something rather than just thinking about how to draw the thing. But I needed to make sure that it was dry because now I want to go in and just sort of really paint in wet, like really heavy wet washes on the body. Let's say, what do I want? I want, you know what would be really helpful right now is my swatch cards. I think what I want to do is I want to take some of this. It's cadmium yellow, I think, is what it was called. Maybe mix in some of that moon glow that I put down earlier. And then really water it down. Then maybe put a little bit of this color in to warm it up. Just really, really water it down though. A little of that. I think I can go in. I've made a huge mistake. I put the shadow on this side even though I said I wanted this side to be darker. It's okay. I think it still can make sense technically. I mean, like, maybe, I don't know. Just go with it, I suppose. Ah, got a hair in there. Get out of there, hair. Get out of there. Get out of there, hair. Yeesh. It's not picking up the colors very well on the stream, I will say. It just looks bright yellow on the stream, but for me there's tinges of orange in there. I'm gonna maybe try some of this moon glow. I'm gonna put that in. Gonna throw it around a bit. Not really sure what the lighting situation in this piece is anymore. Did not want that much. Oh, did not want that. Oops. Come back alive, camera. Okay. I think a little more blue down in this area. I'm just guessing. Do. Fly me to the moon. Let me play. And then I'll go back in with orange and color in the red parts. Alright, be right back, gonna take a shower. Alright, see you later, Gavin. Reading Ed, Edd n Eddy scans and they're pretty hilarious. I haven't watched Ed, Edd n Eddy in a long time, but that used to be one of the shows that I would just not be able to put down if it started playing. Because Saturday mornings, they would start to air Ed, Edd n Eddy program, and it would go on all morning, and as soon as they didn't have a commercial break in between. They didn't have commercial breaks in between the Ed, Edd n Eddy programs, so it would go from one episode to another, and then they would have a commercial break in between the episodes. So I'd just be like, oh, okay, well, one more. Just one more. It would always be just one more. Until someone else told me to stop, you know? I've been watching Game Grumps play Undertale this weekend. Getting me into an Undertale mood. And a friend of mine introduced me to the concept of Underfell, I think it's called. which is like an AU type thing where all of the if I'm understanding correctly, all of the good characters are now I don't know if violent is the best word to say it. It's not like they're evil, but they're certainly not kind anymore. And it's a really cool concept. I don't know where it came from. But when she told me about it, my first reaction is, what would Sans be? Does he get more or less nice, you know? 'Cause he's kind of an enigma character. I could see him being either. You got that one line where he's like, if Toriel didn't tell me to like watch out for you, I would have just like, you know, you would be dead. So he's not exactly completely a good character. Good as in on the protagonist side. Like, he would have killed you in a justifiable, reasonable way for him. You know, like, it would have been justifiable for him because who knows, we could have been evil that run. If it had been a genocide run. My favorite thing about watercolor is if you make a slight mistake, if the color isn't too staining, you can just kind of erase it by adding water. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm off the page. By adding water to it. Sometimes I'm off the page. Tails is like, I can't keep track of Undertale AUs anymore. Apparently, Underfell is like a very popular one. That someone started and then like a lot of people kind of jumped onto. I didn't know there was such a huge sort of culture around specific AUs. Like, I knew Undertale was a gold mine for fan fiction writing, but I didn't know there was this thing that like people were sharing, were creating stories within other people's AU concepts. Oops. I'll see if I can erase that later. Turns out Sans is considered a good character because he has a evil counterpart in terms of design, I mean. But even his evil counterpart is still like pretty darn neutral. You can only I only know he's considered evil because in the one that my friend showed me, he kind of comes on and like immediately kills the character. But it was still kind of a joke, and like when it doesn't work the second time, he doesn't really pursue it. It's not like he's really dead set out to get you. He's just a little more intense right off the bat. He's still pretty neutral, so I guess that's where the fandom still lies, which is where I like to see him. I like to see him sort of a Cheshire Cat, sort of, you don't know what he's thinking all the way through. And yeah, I think that about does it. Oh. The mouth. Forgot to put a little pink on the tongue. All in all, I'm still not used to having all of these colors and these colors specifically. You know, I've been painting with the Altoids tiny palette for a while now. All summer I was using that one, and I really like the selection being small and easy to mix. When I have too many colors to choose from, especially having greens and browns, I kind of just go for them for convenience sake, instead of making my own, which can be more dynamic. But yeah, I'm not sure what to do about how neon all of this looks on the screen. For me, it's actually pretty muted. All of these colors are. I'm gonna do another glaze of orange on top of this crest because the crest looks a little dull. Try to bring out some of the color. Maybe put up in some color on this. And I think that about does it. Well, thank you guys for coming along. Tail says, OG Zero, if only there was a place you uploaded your art so we could see it closer to how you do. Oh, gee. Yeah, you're right. Let's see. Where would that be? Well, I guess, first of all, if you are interested in following my Inktobers, you can drop a gander at my Instagram, where I also tend to post my traditional arts before anywhere else. I do have a DeviantArt, which I'm gonna drop right here. I don't post on there very, like, frequently, but everything will eventually end up on DeviantArt. And since Tails mentioned it, I guess I will drop my Patreon, though the Patreon's mostly for my Jetsplack Nuzlocke, which I am thinking of maybe taking a break on soon, like maybe next year. But I haven't decided yet. But for now, yeah, I've been posting all of my stuff on there. But thank you guys so much for coming to my stream. It's always fun to hang out with you. And until next week, hope you have a great day or night or whatever it is. Bye!